Okay, we're here at the homestead of Laura Ingalls Wilder, who wrote Little House on the Prairie and many other books that we enjoyed in our younger days. This is the Visitor Center, and I'm here with Tristan Rainbow. Hey, Tristan Rainbow.
Hey, Carl Scott.
And we're going to go check it out and see what things are all about here.
Okay, and now we're overlooking the Ingalls homestead. There in front of us is the home site where they built their house. The northeast corner of the property is marked by a church that was recently moved here. In the southeast corner is the schoolhouse. And here you got a couple wagons in the foreground. And that is the Ingalls homestead. Oh, look, it's a merry-go-round. Tristan, get on, give it a try. What do you think? Is it cool or what? He doesn't look too excited, does he? Oh, wait a minute. It's a seesaw, a teeter-totter. Let's go see what we saw and teeter-totter up and down. All right, let's do it, man. Get on. Here we go. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Oh, I think I'm ready to get off. And here we have some photographs of Laura Ingalls Wilder. There she is in her prime. Lived 90 years. Wow, that's great. So there are her parents, Charles and Caroline, and there she is with her two sisters. Here's a photograph of her still pretty young, and then with her husband, Almanzo Wilder. Here she is later in life. About 60 years old there, I guess. And she's signing autographs, signing books here. She was a sociable person, they say. Here is her daughter, Rose Wilder, beautiful lady. And she and her husband, Almanzo, shortly after they were married. Here we have the Ingalls family portrait. And here's where it all got started. Her first house in the series, Little House in the Big Woods, was written about their life here in Pepin. And Independence, Kansas is where they moved next, where the Little House on the Prairie book took place. It was about 14 miles southeast of Independence, Kansas. Next up, in Minnesota, on the banks of Plum Creek. This is where they lived in a dugout house, right there by the creek. By the shores of Silver Lake, this is the first book in the series where they lived here near the town of DeSmet. Silver Lake is nearby. The Long Winter is a very interesting read. It'll tell you how difficult life really was here on the prairie back in those days. And then finally, The Little Town on the Prairie is the last of her books about her own childhood. The next book in the series, These Happy Golden Years, is about her relationship with Almanzo Wilder.
So here's Tristan Rainbow thinking about bouncing across the prairie in a little wooden wagon. That seat just does not look very comfortable.
Doesn't look very secure.
Dugout or shanty, which would you choose? Here we learn about the typical homes that people would build when they first arrive here on the prairie. One is a dugout. They literally dig it out or make a sod house on the side of a hill. The other is a very simple shanty. And here is a dugout. They would either dig into the side of a hill and use these boards to make an entrance, or they would make sod walls. This one here looks like it's got some sod walls. And it's just a simple one-room little cabin with a wood-burning stove, a table, and probably a bed. It would keep you pretty warm in the winter because that dirt doesn't convey heat. If you want to know how to build one, pause the video and read this. And here is a typical shanty that you might find in the prairie in the 1800s. Just a few pieces of lumber with some tar paper slapped up real quick. It'll keep you dry, and it'll keep you reasonably warm in the winter, at least better than sitting outside. It's got a wood-burning stove and a bed and a table. And I imagine it would have had 2 beds because the girls had to sleep somewhere. Look at that wallpaper. That's right, folks. Newspaper wallpaper. Anyway, it's pretty cozy quarters. Here's the closet. Well, where they hung the few clothes that they had. You can be sure they didn't have too many. And here's a little storage space in the attic, as well as a little pantry. You gotta love this wood-burning stove. It's a pretty small firebox, but I bet it got the job done. Yes, you can cook here. And here, as we look across the prairie toward the town of DeSmet, you can see it about a mile or so off in the distance. You can imagine them walking to and from town, or riding their buggy, or riding their horses. It was a comfortable walk back in those days, unless, of course, there was a blizzard. That might be kind of rough. And here we have a little residence for the animals. There are some chickens outside there. This little barn features room to store some hay, and a couple of places for your horses or your cattle. There's a food trough there in the back, right beyond the kitty station. The kitty cats surely keep the field mice busy around here. And we have some chickens. You gotta have some chickens on the farm. Beyond the hay storage area, there's another place for an animal. Livestock today is a young calf, a very young calf. I wonder where his mama is. And here we have a valuable piece of machinery, a manure spreader. That's right, folks. Just fill this sucker up with cow poop or horse poop and drive it across the field. This mechanism in the back would spread it out among your field. And you would probably do this in the fall to give the manure an opportunity to mellow out a little bit before you would plant in the spring. Can't you just imagine that aroma right now? Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like Tristan Rainbow found the well. Let's see if he can get any water out of it. Pump, pump, Tristan, pump. Pump, pump, pump.
Water goes from there.
Woohoo!
That tube to go right here.
Woohoo! He got water. He got water. Yay! Oh, look. Apparently, it's a hoedown. And life on the prairie includes washing clothes, and this is how we did it. 2 tubs and a wringer. Looks like fun, kids. Here's a view of the house from the outside. Let's go inside and see what we can find. This would be the living room where they did their daily activities, which, as you can see, mostly consists of motherly duties, shall we say, sewing, ironing, quilt making, rug making. And there's the curio cabinet in the corner. You might recognize this from a book or two that Laura wrote. Here we have instructions for how to make a braided rug. I imagine they made a few of those back in the day. And how do you like this old wooden ironing board, complete with, look at that, folks, real cast iron irons. And check out this old pump organ. This is similar to the one that Mary presumably played when her parents bought it for her. And here's the kitchen and dining area. Check out that old wood-burning stove. Bet you ladies can't wait to cook on that, huh? And there's a butter churn in the corner. Goodness knows we needed one of those. And I guess the pantry area with a couple of cabinets. Needless to say, they didn't keep much around. The kids' bedroom. You've got 2 short beds, one a little shorter than the other.
Christian Rainbow's going to play Mary's organ for us here, so y'all listen up.
We got a pump.
Yay, good job. And here is the parents' bedroom with a kitty cat that apparently has more than just 9 lives. Been around a long time, haven't you, kitty? Ooh, back to the wash tubs, the washing machine. There's the soap, the handmade soap goes to the wash tub. You wash it, you wring it out into the rinse water, and then you take it and you hang it on the line to dry. Check out these old school clothespins. They are the bomb. Okay, the big barn.
Horse.
It's a pony. A little baby pony. Hi there, little baby pony. You want to pet the baby pony?
And here are some farm tools. I'm not sure what every one of them is, but all the ones on the left here, I think I can pretty much describe to you their use. Wrenches, drills, hatchets, augers, and the animal stalls. You can see the hay bin at the end of each animal stall. This is where the horses and cows used to hang out. And here is the go to town on Sunday buggy. This is a pretty fancy buggy for back in the day. Here we've got some collars. That's what you would hook up the horses to the buggy with. And here's a yoke for a team of 2. And an old Conestoga wagon. Now, I was a little surprised this wagon is not nearly as wide as I had pictured them after seeing them in the movies and what have you. But you'll notice it's just a box on wheels. Not exactly luxurious travel. And here we have a couple of wheelbarrows. I would presume they would pick the manure up in the wheelbarrows and consolidate it in the manure spreader before they put it to work. This one here looks like an antique, probably been around quite a while, maybe 100 years or more. And here we have some farming implements. There's a plow, another plow, and a lawnmower, otherwise known as a hay sickle. At least this one you could ride on the back instead of walking behind the horse. Here we got another plow, 3-prong plow, and another sickle. Here we have a disc. For you farming folks, you know what to do with that one. And here's a ride behind plow. That's the one I'd want to use if I had to pull it behind a horse. And here's a hay rake. When you cut it, you got to rake it. Also a sit-behind model. And this one here is a planter. You just put seeds in those 2 little bins and it'll drop a seed. Every time the indicator clicks across a wire, it's about every 40 inches for corn. Let's take a walk up through the cornfield to the little church on the prairie. This is a little bit of a walk, but hey, it's a nice afternoon. After exiting the rows of corn, I can feel the wind blowing across my face and remembering some lines that Laura wrote in her books about how she felt standing out here on the prairie like there was no place else in the world like this. Such a big place, and you can totally feel free. I understand. I get it, Laura. Okay, so now we're finally arriving at the church, the little church on the prairie. Pretty cool looking, huh? Let's go inside and check it out. Wow, not bad for a little church on the prairie. Will you look at those fancy pews they got? And the altar is pretty dang fancy too. Oh, look, it's a pump organ. Ooh, look at that beautiful antique piano. That's a nice one. Hey, and guess what? Another pump organ. These things are pretty popular around here, I guess. Here's the view from the pulpit. This is what your pastor sees every Sunday. That's right, he's in charge, folks. What's this back here in the corner? Another pump organ. They got a whole slew of the darn things. And here's a little history on the church. Built in 1905 and moved here to this place in 2009. All right, it's time to exit. But before we go, let's pull the rope and hear the bell ring. All right, now we can leave. Let's go outside and see what's going on. Oh, look, it's a Tristan rainbow in the middle of the prairie, taking video of his feet and the cornfields. And saying, hey, Carl, where you been?
Whoa, hello.
Okay, looks like Tristan Rainbow's going for a horse ride. Throw it up here, cowboy.
Horse boy.
You got him.
Feel like you're sitting straight.
Yay, thank you.
Hey, who's that cowboy?
Wow. I'm Tristan.
Tristan the cowboy.
What's your name?
Tristan the chartreuse shorty cowboy.
Yeah, that's an amazing name. Tristan the chartreuse shorted cowboy.
Yeehaw.
Get up. Get up. Come on, Eddie. Okay. So go ahead and take those lines. Who else is
Tristan Rainbow's driving the team.
Oh, come on, you guys. Should we just make him drive? Yes, I think that Madeline's gonna take the right. You work on it. Okay, so come on, hold them down. We have girls here that want to drive. Now, we don't want any resistance. You know what resistance means?
Yes.
Okay, if you even pull back that far, they will stop.
Okay, I won't do that.
Okay, so as we roll through the prairie, we're going to talk about the homestead and the Homestead Act. The homesteaders came out here, the pioneers came out here for free land.
Prairie Schoolhouse
And now, let's go to the school.
of the year of 1889. And they had a schoolhouse before it. The year of 88, it perished in a prairie fire. So it took them a year to get started again. This sat near the Johnson homestead, and so it's always went by the title Johnson School number 20. It's been moved in here about 3 miles from the southeast. Come on in, we've got the arrow on. There'll be a little folks love seeing the farm animals. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tristan Rainbow got to go to real school.
Started in October. And what happened is, because there was a new railroad that had been built out to these towns, they thought for sure they would always get supplies coming in on the train. But you know what happened? There were so many blizzards. On this part of our state, that's east, the big old snowdrifts got on the railroad tracks and they could not get their train through. Come on over, folks, we're just showing a hay twist. You can join in all this fun, okay? Just in case, you never know about the long winter coming up. So anyway, they didn't have trees to burn because there were no trees on the prairie. It was pretty much a treeless prairie. So what did they burn during the long winter? I bet you gals know what they burned. What did they burn?
Twists.
Hay twists.
Oh, hay twists.
Yep, the first chapter of the long winter is called Make Hay While the Sun Shines. And you know what Laura Ingalls Wilder did, the lady that wrote the Little House books? She helped her pa cut a bunch of hay and stomp it down in wagons. And they were really glad she did, because then all winter long they could burn that hay. So this is what you do to make a hay twist. Put it under your arm, Pa would tell Laura. Twist it into a nice hard stick and bend it in half. then those two halves are twisted upon each other like this. To have other food to eat, they had to figure out a way to have some food. And so these seeds of wheat that are in this little pan, this is what they were hoping to put in the field the next year to make a new wheat field, right? But guess what they had to do? They had to eat them. So now if I chewed on that, you can scooch over this way a little
But you
bit.
can actually chew on it.
No. If you chewed on it, you would probably break your teeth. So you don't want to chew it. So what they did is they didn't have a big grist mill in town yet. Grist mill is like a big feed mill that grinds like a whole bag of wheat at a time. But instead they had another kind of grinder. What kind of grinder is this? It's a coffee grinder.
It's coffee grinder.
And usually you would do coffee beans in here to make coffee grounds to make a good cup of coffee, right? Doesn't that sound good? Anyway, instead though, they put the wheat in there and that made a coarse brown flour. So today when you're here, see how she's got her hand on the top? You, sir, put your hands down here and hold the box.
Well, looks like we have a corn husker here. Doesn't actually take the husks off. You put the corn cob down inside and it pulls the corn kernels off of the cob. It's a decobber, I guess.
I put a little corn in here.
So Mary was bigger than me, and she had a rag doll named Nettie. Laura only had a corn cob. Well, she wasn't blind yet, which was a vegetable. She didn't get blind until I think.
So these three bundles are just six. So you can just hold this here. As soon as it gets tight enough, this little sister's going to hold back. And then when this gets tight enough, yeah, you got to put a little weight on it. And then slowly this way. And when that starts twisting, you can go as fast as she's cranking. You get isn't that neat? You have a little clipper. It's pretty neat.
And here we have a potato cutter. I reckon they thought it was easier to put these things in a machine to cut them up for planting. They would, cut them into pieces so that each piece had an eye. And they can make pretty fast work out of it this way. Not such a bad idea.
Yes.
And our final stop is the cornerstone for the property, designated the Ingalls Homestead. See you next time.